Okay, friends, this week's video is on meditation-induced tinnitus. A number of people who are rigorous contemplatives notice that a series of sounds arises during their meditation. Sometimes those sounds follow them throughout the day. In most cases, those sounds are stronger or more dominant during the meditation session, whereas they may fall into the background in a non-meditative state, while walking around town. Typical of meditation-induced tinnitus is that the sounds that one hears appear to come from either from everywhere or from the center of the head, and they are not on one side or the other. Organic tinnitus is usually caused by either a head injury or an inflammation in the head, which causes damage to one of the eardrums or sensory equipment that leads to that eardrum, and it typically produces a high-pitched sound. Whereas charismatic or meditation-induced tinnitus typically arises in both ears equally, and it typically begins with the sound of the wind, and then maybe it might become the rain or a waterfall, and then it might become the chirping of crickets or cicadas, and then it might become a ringing sound like a bell, and then it might become a high-pitched, high-frequency sound. Those are the typical sounds that people hear. In mystical traditions, almost every mystic reports hearing odd sounds. For instance, Teresa of Avila reported odd sounds. So did Rumi, so did Kabir. Patanjali mentions it, the term is bija in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, and it's also mentioned in the discourses of the Buddha, and I think it's the 6th, the Mahanidana Sutta, which I think is Digha Nikaya, or Long Discourses, Sutta number 6, I'm pretty sure it's that sutta. And there's a discussion of light versus sound, or both, light and sound. And in most contemplative traditions that recognize sound or charismatic sound as valuable, they don't look at it as tinnitus. So those people, or people from those traditions, would be offended to call these charismatic sounds meditation-induced tinnitus. Nonetheless, I know of contemplatives who have developed a mysterious sound due to their meditation practice. They've gone to a lot of audiologists. They may even be taking medication for it, and yet the audiologist found no organic cause for the tinnitus. And those are classic symptoms of the so-called tinnitus being, or meditation-induced tinnitus being, not tinnitus, but charismatic manifestation of deep meditation. Thank you, friends.